Welcome back, Go Gunners family. Liverpool vs Arsenal, the game that defines Arteta. Introduction: more than a match. Some football matches are remembered for goals, others for controversy, and a few for trophies lifted at the end of the night. But every so often, a game arrives that carries a heavier weight, a match that does not merely affect a league table, but instead defines a manager's philosophy, reputation, and future legacy. Liverpool vs Arsenal is one such occasion. Tonight's encounter is not just another Premier League fixture between two historic English giants. It is a moment of judgment. A test of belief. A referendum on progress. Above all, it is the game that could define Mikel Arteta. For years, Arsenal fans have spoken about projects, rebuilds, and processes. They have asked for patience. They have defended progress. But football, especially at the elite level, does not wait forever. Eventually, the questions change. Not "are you improving?" but "can you deliver when it matters most?" Liverpool, with their relentless intensity and ruthless history in big games, are the perfect opponents to answer that question. Arteta's journey, from apprentice to architect. Learning under Guardiola. Mikel Arteta's managerial story did not begin in the dugout at Arsenal. It began quietly, meticulously, as an assistant under Pep Guardiola at Manchester City. There, Arteta absorbed football at its most complex level. Positional play, pressing triggers, rotations, and control. But knowledge alone does not make a manager. Arteta left Manchester City with ideas, but Arsenal would become the place where those ideas were tested, criticized, and refined under relentless pressure. Taking over a broken Arsenal. When Arteta arrived at Arsenal, the club was drifting. Identity was lost. Confidence was fragile. The squad lacked balance, leadership, and belief. Arteta inherited not just a struggling team, but a fractured culture. His early months were turbulent. Inconsistent performances. Difficult decisions. High-profile mistakes. Yet even then, there were signs. Arsenal were becoming harder to beat. More organized. More disciplined. The FA Cup win early in his tenure bought time, but time alone was never going to be enough. Building the project, process, pain, and progress. The ruthless decisions. One of Arteta's defining traits has been ruthlessness. Popular players were moved on. Big names were benched or sold. Standards were raised publicly and privately. This approach divided opinion. Some praised his authority. Others questioned his man management. But slowly, the squad began to reflect his values. Youthful. Technically strong. Tactically disciplined. Arsenal were no longer just playing football, they were playing Arteta's football. Near misses and lessons learned. Arsenal's recent seasons have been defined by painful lessons. Title races that slipped away. Big games where control vanished. Moments where belief wavered. Each disappointment left scars, but also experience. Arteta often spoke about learning. About using failure as fuel. About building resilience. Now, those words faced their ultimate examination. Liverpool, the ultimate benchmark. Why Liverpool matter? Liverpool are not just another opponent. They represent everything Arsenal are trying to become. Consistent contenders. Mentally ruthless. Fearless in big moments. Under Jurgen Klopp, Liverpool developed a clear identity and stuck to it through highs and lows. They have won when it mattered most. For Arteta, Liverpool are the measuring stick. Beating Liverpool convincingly does not just earn points, it earns credibility. Liverpool's threat, chaos with purpose. Liverpool's football is not random chaos. It is organized aggression. They press high. They attack quickly. They force mistakes. And they punish hesitation. Against Arsenal, Liverpool have often thrived on moments where control breaks down. A misplaced pass. A slow transition. A moment of doubt. Arteta knows this. The question is whether his team can apply that knowledge under pressure. Why this game defines Arteta? The end of excuses. This is no longer a young project finding its feet. Arsenal have invested heavily. They have experience. They have depth. If Arsenal fail tonight, the narrative shifts. No longer. They're still learning. But are they good enough? Arteta's reputation will not collapse with one defeat, but it will be questioned. Tactical identity under pressure. Big games reveal truth. Does Arteta trust his philosophy against elite opposition? Or does he compromise out of fear? This match will show whether Arsenal can control tempo against chaos, press without panic, defend without retreating. If Arsenal abandon their principles, it suggests doubt. If they stick to them and succeed, it signals maturity. The tactical battle, Arteta versus Liverpool. Midfield control versus relentless press. The midfield is the battlefield. Liverpool aim to overwhelm. Arsenal aim to control. Whoever dictates rhythm will dictate the match. Arteta's selection and setup here is critical. Too defensive, and Arsenal invite pressure. Too attacking, and Liverpool exploit space. There is no safe option, only brave ones. Defensive line and risk management. Arsenal's high defensive line is both a strength and a vulnerability. It compresses space. It enables pressing. But against Liverpool's pace, it is dangerous. This decision alone, how high Arsenal defend, could decide the night. Psychological warfare, the invisible game. Confidence versus fear. Football is as much mental as physical. Liverpool enter this game with the confidence of past success. Arsenal enter with the hunger of unfinished business. If Arsenal start nervously, Liverpool will smell blood. If Arsenal start boldly, the atmosphere could overwhelm the visitors. Arteta's ability to prepare his players mentally will be as important as any tactical instruction. Handling adversity. What happens if Arsenal concede first? Do they panic or respond with control? Past Arsenal teams often collapsed under pressure. This Arsenal side claims to be different. Tonight, they must prove it. Key individual battles that reflect Arteta's vision. Leadership on the pitch. Arteta demands leadership across the pitch, not just from one player. Big games reveal leaders. Who calms the team? Who demands the ball? Who refuses to hide? These moments define not just players, but managers who selected them. Decision-making under pressure. Arteta's system demands intelligence. Quick decisions. Positional awareness. Against Liverpool, hesitation is punished. This match will show whether Arsenal's players truly understand and trust the system. Referees, margins, and moments. In matches of this scale, fine margins matter. A marginal offside. A controversial foul. A missed chance. Managers are often judged not just on performance, but on outcomes shaped by moments beyond their control. Yet elite managers find ways to minimize reliance on luck. Arteta knows this. What victory would mean for Arteta? A win here would validate the project, silence critics, strengthen belief, shift the title narrative. It would be proof that Arsenal are no longer just contenders, they are competitors at the highest level. For Arteta personally, it would mark a turning point from promising coach to proven elite manager. What defeat would mean? A loss would not end the project, but it would reopen uncomfortable questions. Do Arsenal lack killer instinct? Is Arteta too rigid or too cautious? Can Arsenal win the biggest games consistently? These questions linger long after the final whistle. Legacy in the making. Great managers are defined by moments. Ferguson had comebacks. Wenger had invincibility. Klopp had belief. Arteta's defining moment may come not from a trophy, but from a performance, a night where Arsenal stood tall against one of Europe's toughest opponents. Liverpool versus Arsenal is that night. Final thoughts, a defining chapter. Football careers are written in chapters, not matches. But some games begin new chapters. Tonight is not just about points. It is about identity. About belief. About legacy. For Mikel Arteta, this is the game that could define him, not because of what he says afterwards, but because of what his team shows on the pitch. The process is over. The excuses are gone. The moment has arrived. After the final whistle, I'll bring you the full reaction and tactical breakdown. Subscribe so you don't miss what this result really means for Arteta and Arsenal.